Hello, this is Jess from Phoenix Coaching, and today I'm going to talk a little bit about how you can start a meditation practice, as well as some of the things to bear in mind when you are meditating. But ideally, you want to get to the place whereby you're not bearing anything in mind, which is the process. So meditation has helped myself very much, it's helped many people I know, as well as many people across the globe. For centuries, thousands of years, people have been meditating. Now, they did some pretty interesting studies with the Tibetan monks in terms of hooking them up to brain scanners while they were meditating and just seeing what would happen. So when we get brain activity on the brain scanner, we might get like a flash here, flash there, which is kind of the normal kind of results. When they put the scanners on the monks, the brain scanner was lit up like a Christmas tree. Like, the scientists could not believe what they were seeing because the brain activity was totally off the charts. So this is very interesting. Now, often when people meditate, they experience greater sense of calm, greater sense of peace, greater productivity, a change in their state, greater levels of happiness, as well as numerous other benefits. So really worth doing, in my opinion. Now, when we meditate, it's a big part of it is coming from a place of thinking, which is what most of us in our Western mindset are conditioned into, more into feeling. So when we're rushing around day by day, the mind is kind of going on autopilot with all kinds of thoughts coming in about this, that, and the other. I've got to do this, or what should I have for dinner, or you said this, you said that. Just chatter. So when we're kind of in this space, this is kind of our view. We're like often come into this place whereby we're just dealing with what's in front of us, fighting fires, and kind of on autopilot. Now, through developing a meditation practice, this brings us into a greater awareness of our thoughts and our surroundings. So we begin to see the world more in this way. We can recognize and see and appreciate more around us, as well as gain greater control over the mind, because often the conditioning of the mind is negative. So they found that 90% of the thoughts we have are negative, and I think 90% of the thoughts we have are the same thoughts that we had yesterday, and 90 to 95% of those thoughts are negative. So we're hardwired for negativity, essentially, and this is a survival mechanism. So often this kind of negative conditioning way of thinking can lead us into emotional situations and places whereby we're ultimately not happy. So the meditation can really help with practice to give us an awareness of where our thoughts are going on, like the runaway train. So with the awareness, it then gives us the choice to be able to pick a different path or stop. I'm not going to go down this path today. I'm going to do something different with my thought process so that I'm not affected in this emotional way. Therefore, increasing my level of happiness. So I hear it often with people starting a meditation practice is that they say, oh, I did it for a week or 2 weeks and it felt good, but I wasn't very good at it. And because what happened is, like, my thoughts kept coming in and it was like really difficult. And so they stopped because they believed that they weren't very good at it. Now, the thing to recognize about meditation is this is the same for everyone. It can be really challenging to come into this place of stillness, or sometimes it takes years. So the first thing to really recognize is that people have this image of like meditation as being like the monk on the mountain in this place of utter calm, serenity and stillness with nothing affecting them. But we live in cities and we live in a Western world that is very busy. So there's so much distraction around us all the time. So based on this distraction, it can be quite challenging for us to come into this place of stillness. So the meditation you can kind of see as the act of training this muscle of the mind, because this is what we're doing. We're training the mind to recognize the anchor point of greater stillness, as well as watch our thoughts, so that again we can change things. So one of my teachers, Lazo, has the best analogy for the mind. So the mind is like a dog. So the dog, have you ever seen anyone's dogs, and it's like the dog owns them, and like it's really yappy and pulling them all over the place and won't behave like, standard Jack Russell kind of dog. This is most people's minds. It's like on autopilot, all thoughts here, there, and everywhere. Then you look at the guide dog. So this faithful companion who helps the blind person. So this is where we can get the mind through training, because the mind is ultimately it's a great tool. It's great for working things out. It's great for building things. It's great for creating when we use it well and correctly. But a lot of the time, due to things that have happened in our past, the mind is also conditioned into this negativity. So this is where we can use the meditation to train things. So don't worry if the thoughts keep coming in. That's the point. What you get out of the meditation is that the more you train this muscle, the stronger it gets at being able to control and manage the thoughts. And then kind of you want to kind of get away from the idea of like fully controlling the mind as well, because it's very, very difficult to fully control the mind. There was one analogy from a book called The Chimp Paradox, which likens the mind to a chimpanzee. So a chimpanzee is a very, very strong, big animal sometimes that is very difficult to control, is easily frightened, likes food, and very much acts in the moment. So it's very difficult to control a chimp, but you can reason with a chimp, and you can give a chimp what it wants and what it needs. So rather than looking and seeking to have utter control over the mind, what we can do is learn to work with the mind and manage it so that things are harmonious with our mind. So on to actually, this is a bit of background of meditation. So on to actually how to meditate. So first thing I'll say on this, if you're quite new to meditation, then it can be really, really beneficial to actually start with like a moving meditation practice. So one that I really like is a Qigong exercise called Energy Push, which I'll demonstrate here. So it's all about the breath. So coming into deep belly breaths. There's another video in A Breath of Fresh Air if you want to find out all about breathing and the breathing technique. But essentially what I'm doing is twinning my breathing in with this gentle movement of my hands. My focus is to get the movement as slow and relaxed as possible. Now you can do this 2 minutes is like the minimum amount of time. You can do this as long as you want, up to 10-20 minutes sometimes. And the aim is to get things nice and smooth, so smooth with the movement and the breath. Now, the good thing about starting off with a moving meditation practice is that it gives the mind something to focus on. So if you're focusing on the breath as well as focusing on the movement, there's less thoughts come in. If thoughts do come in, that's cool. You just come back to the breath, you come back to the movement. So You do this practice for like a few months, you'll notice a huge difference in numerous different areas of life. So as well as giving you a lot of practice for then moving on to still meditation. So the still meditation, you'll find a comfortable position, and again, you're just watching the breath and watching the mind, because the mind will come up with all sorts of different things to distract you. But the practice is just to let go of the thoughts each time they come in. So I may be meditating, focus on my breath, and then a thought comes in, like I just thought, oh, the sun's really nice on my eyelids. Okay, this is a thought. So, okay, cool, thank you. I'm just going to go back to the breath. And then I'm there for a few seconds, and the thought comes in, what do I say next? So I was like, okay, cool, let's come back to the breath. Okay, next thought comes in, I hear a plane or something outside, and I'm wondering, oh, what kind of plane is that? Okay, cool, come back to the breath. So this is the process. So I've been doing this for a long time as well, and things are so very different to when I started. So before, it would be virtually impossible to get more than a couple of seconds of stillness. Now it's a lot easier to drop into that, as well as have longer periods of stillness. And for myself, it's been really many benefits to this practice, mentally as well as physically, because on the physical level, you're calming the system. When the system's calm, better mental clarity, better recovery, frees up energy stores, so really great for the entire system. So just thinking if there's anything else. Relaxation is the key. Relax with each breath and try not to judge the thoughts, because then we get into the space of, oh, I'm thinking this is so bad, blah blah blah, and then the judgment is taking you out of things, and it's just a product of the mind. So I find it really helpful to kind of see it as a game, because the mind will play all sorts of games with you, especially when you're trying to make any kind of change. Because, all right, I want to make this change, great, but then the mind will tell you all sorts of stories and come up with all these little tricks to try and derail you from the change, because the mind ultimately doesn't like change very much. So I find it really helpful to kind of see yourself as playing a game. And you win the game when you're not taking things too seriously, and you're able to let go, breathe, and relax. So really hope this has been helpful. For anyone who wants to learn more about how to meditate or wants any more instruction, then you can feel free to contact me, and we'll take things from there. So have a lovely day, enjoy your meditation, and see you soon.